What's going on? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today I want to talk to you on Polestar. I want to go over the massive news that came out today and what the data points are signaling might be coming next, leading into their earnings. Before I get into any of that, make sure to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And with that said, let's get right to it. So Polestar went up 22.8%. After hours, it is extending and continuing to go up 3.28%. A lot of volume, so 15.8 million shares were traded, 3.65 is the average. So big money had their eyes set on Polestar. And plus there was a lot of very much abnormal transactions, very positive ones. And I have been covering Polestar for a while, and for the most part, there's been a very negative trend. Even my video yesterday, which is very poorly timed, I guess, because of today, I was somewhat bearish. And of course, that's leading into their earnings tomorrow. But today, with the news that did come out, I did buy back into Polestar, and it's been a very long time. So I bought in around, I think it was $1.58 range. So I'm pretty happy with that. But the news that came out today, despite the GDP numbers, which was causing a lot of pull down in the broader market, so NASDAQ went down about 0.54%, but Polestar didn't give two craps. They just gave the market the middle finger. And funny thing is, this news that came out today really does counter a lot of the negativity that's been brought on over the last several weeks. So let's get right to this news. So Polestar secures US $1 billion external funding, and that is through the syndicate of banks, as what they like to call themselves. Oddly enough, this did take a very long time. I would have actually assumed that the syndicate of banks would have approached Polestar sooner, because they hit up Rivian last year and they hit up Lucid in 2022. So I don't know why it took them so long, but beside the point, Polestar always likes to have roughly around $1 billion in cash and cash equivalent on hand. Currently, I believe as of December the 31st, they had about 770 million. So having access to this cash is absolutely key. But in reality, that's not the best part of this news, and it gets better and better as I go on, because 𝗖𝗢𝗡 did also commit and show its intention to participate in future funding sources. So that's key. As Polestar does obtain profitability in the next year and a half, give or take, or whenever that is, 𝗖𝗢𝗡 is going to be behind them, supporting them. So even though Polestar is probably one of the most discounted EVs out there, and probably because of 𝗖𝗢𝗡, that's why it's discounted, just people don't like 𝗖𝗢𝗡, but beside the point, who cares? If you have someone supporting you behind you up until profitability, then who gives a flying crap? So not only are they getting at least $1 billion from the syndicate of banks, having 𝗖𝗢𝗡 support them, that's not the best part. And oddly enough, they didn't put the best part up here. So you can kind of scroll down right here. So it says, finally, in addition to the secured 950 in external funding, the recently announced new shareholder structure in Polestar provides a solid basis for the brand's future business development. Under new structure, 𝗖𝗢𝗡 Sweden Holdings will become the second largest shareholder, and Volvo will still intend, or does intend on, holding its 18% stake. So the negativity that's been brought on because of that news from Volvo, I think that came out about 2-3 weeks ago, this just countered that. So if Volvo is maintaining their position, 𝗖𝗢𝗡 is willing to participate in future funding, and there is a new largest shareholder. So this is just crazy. So there's a lot of stuff to talk on for tomorrow's earnings, bright and early, and no doubt there's going to be a lot of analysts listening very, very closely. So we'll just have to wait and see whether they are able to back themselves and support and justify this 20-something% green day today, or if it is going to tear down. Because in my video yesterday, I did bring up some negatives, or at least potential negatives that could be brought up in their earnings, but they wouldn't put this news out if they didn't have something big to talk on, or something big planned. So in reality, I definitely see this as a very, very positive thing. Aside from that though, let's talk on, for instance, options. So today there was about $493,000 in calls being purchased versus 172,000 in puts. Sentiment wise, 52% of all the options being done today are optimistic. So in comparison to the last several days, definitely very, very good. But over and above that, of the call options that were purchased, there's now a new consensus for it to be above 250 by the end of this week. So maybe a lot more optimism associated to their earnings, because logically, why would they put out this kick-ass earnings if they were just going to flop tomorrow? That's just at least my mentality. That's clearly the individuals who are buying calls mentality. So we'll just have to wait and see. Looking at puts though, you do see it more of a consensus below $1.50. And as it stands right now, it is doing fairly well. So with it closing at $1.83, not counting after hours, it is trading between this R2 and this R3. So going into tomorrow, you want to watch this $1.75 support to hold, vice versa, $1.93 resistance to hopefully be broken. And maybe even after hours, it'll break that. Tomorrow there is PCE alongside Polestar earnings. So anticipate a very volatile day. And shorts right now, they have been increasing over the last little bit. So 10.32% of the free float is being shorted. And that works out to be 25.34 million shares overall being shorted. And today, shorts did increase about 59,000 shares. Cost of borrow average is 144.71%. And short interest, they did go up quite considerably. So there's 2 times per month is when the NASDAQ does disclose the true numbers. And they did disclose it yesterday. So yesterday, they did disclose that there was about 24.76 million shares overall being shorted. But then again, that is from February the 15th. So what Ortex does is they take that information and adjust it to present day. So this is how you get those numbers that I just mentioned. So all in all, I am kind of a lot more optimistic, and I think I can actually confidently say that this earnings definitely is going to be a roller coaster, because there's going to be some negatives. I'm not excluding that. But why would they logically put out this kick-ass news the day before their earnings? It just doesn't make sense. So in my opinion, I feel like they do have a lot of good positive things to talk on in their upcoming earnings. But moving on though, quickly, just cycling to the technicals. So today was epic. It did bounce off of that 50-day moving average. So most likely, if positive, that is going to be a point to watch for. And if it does get above that 50-day moving average, then typically, at least in Polestar's case, a lot of positives do happen, at least a 15% run whenever it does break above that 50-day moving average. So hopefully that does happen. Because of today's run though, it did cause Stochastic to get off of that low, because as I've said time and time again, because this is something I typically do say, that if there is some positive news that does come out, whether it be specific to Polestar, which it did, then you are going to see a rush of value investors, because looking at Stochastic, it was very low at almost 4. So with that news, it rushed value investors into Polestar despite the kind of mixed signals on the broader market. And today you did also see a start of a nice bullish sentiment, so a deviation, so white line above the red. And even above that though, number of retail investors have been getting in. It looks like ever since February the 21st. So again, I could be a flop tomorrow in their earnings, but it looks like the consensus out there based on big money, retail, and oddly enough, even me buying in today, I feel like bigger and better things are going to be coming for Polestar. And plus, I have said this time and time again, Polestar is one of the most discounted EVs out there. So obviously, institutions are looking for value right now. Often enough overlooked Polestar, but with today's news, maybe it's going to get a lot more attention. So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And one final thing, take advantage of this promo. Simply sign up for an account with Moo for $100 at it, and they give you 5 free stocks. So definitely take advantage of this. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.